All right. Hello, everybody. Glad you're here for what is this, April 16th, the day after Lisa's 16th birthday yesterday.
16.
Anyway, welcome to the Elevation Call with Hal and Lisa. Glad you're here tonight. And we are going to begin the call like we have started doing since the first of the year, and really focus on elevating our focus, elevating our lives, elevating our belief, really trying to help each person that listens into this, whether you're live or on listening to it recorded, with some really, hopefully, some things that will impact your life in many different ways. And we knew that Lisa would be traveling from Indiana this weekend, that I would be involved. Who knew what all I was going to be doing with my daughter this weekend with her school things. And that was a real joy for me to get to do. But knowing that in advance, we asked Steve and Jenny Todd to lead this elevation segment of our call. So they're going to take a few minutes, and you guys know Steve and Jenny. Dr. Steve and Jenny Todd are our Pensacola. What are they about Pensacola? Our antagonists is what they are. They're constantly sending us pictures and telling us how great the weather is in Pensacola. But we dearly love this couple, and they mean so much to us.
And you know, I have to always insert, because some of you guys might not know this. When Steve and Jenny joined this team, we were not the ones that invited them. It was actually, I think you guys are on like our sixth level or seventh level. Came through Judy Carver's Kentucky-based team. And once, you know, Steve is a very impressive guy. You know, he was formerly a DMD dentist, and went back, became a regenerative medicine specialist, and then now a sleep specialist. And he has an amazing practice. So he would be on anyone's chicken list if you're trying to like build a team. And so I found that he was actually in my phone from my first business in nutrition, because he was kind of within range of Evansville. And Steve, I actually once tried to email you and you never emailed me back. So I'm just saying that now I have a totally different perspective on it. But so you guys never, ever, ever give up on your chicken lists. We're just so grateful that you guys are part of our team.
Oh, well, thank you. That's very kind of you. Thank you. I'm sorry I didn't email you back. I probably didn't even know how to email, honestly. So probably a real honest mistake in that one, because I just—
That's the truth. Well, you know how to email now.
Yeah, we know a little bit about it, little bit about it. And Jenny, she does all, you know, that she's the glue here with that. So you want to say anything, honey? Oh.
No, I just do what I'm told. I'm just so submissive and never outspoken.
Jenny Todd. No.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
right is right. Well, she's
so wonderful, guys. Y'all don't know, Jenny and I have been married 45 years.
Mm-hmm.
45 years. And last year we had our 45th anniversary. Had a little bit early because you get all the kids here. We had a great time and had a I don't know, just a wonderful time, and we had a wonderful life. And so I want to share that with y'all a little bit, because I believe that, guys, that a few years ago, let me give a backstory on that. A few years ago, when we were with Celeste and learning, trying to do self-improvement and get better at things, and I stumbled across a program called Self-Talk for Success, and it was with Dr. Shad Helmstetter, and y'all have heard me mention that occasionally, I think, and I've done maybe one or presentation here and there. And it was a game changer for me, because I really didn't understand it. I didn't understand what it was or anything. Never really even heard of it too much. But we know we all talk to ourselves all the time. That's what we do, whether it be verbally or be subliminally, or in just thoughts. You know, your thoughts, you always go. And so I read his book, and then I read another book, and I've read about 20 of his books so far. Dr. Shad Helmstetter is the author of this. He also created this. It's about 45-year-old now, 45 years old, I guess his text was. And this is the book, and I recommend you guys, I'll get this book. It's called What You Say When You Talk to Yourself. It's about $7. I think everybody here can get that. And then he's written a bunch of other books, and they're wonderful self-improvement books. And I think that's what Hal and Lisa have focused on in this one. I thank Hal and Lisa for having this meeting and giving us the opportunity to share a little bit here with you guys. They, we've grown to have them become very special people in our lives, and as y'all are on this Sunday night call, and to get to know everybody a little bit, and just it's just a great hour we spend together. So anyway, what I want to do is I want to give you what we call the self-talk tenets.
Do you want to share the
And
screen?
yeah, we'll share the screen with you guys.
Can we
if
do
we
that, Lisa?
can.
Yep, you guys are host right
We got
now.
a few,
Oh, we are?
we got a few little slides we'll share. And this is the first series of what the basic self-talk. Let Jenny get going here with that. There you go. I told
Okay.
you she does all this stuff. So I'm just
Okay, I'm going to hide us. Okay, there we go.
There you go.
Okay.
So these
Okay.
are, and tenets are guidelines or sort of rules, not hard, fast rules, but rules to be able to guide the way that you think. And Dr. Helmstetter has come up with about 30 tenets. And tonight, briefly, we're going to go through 10 of them and give you a little bit of background on it. Again, I recommend that everyone on this call get his book and just go through it slowly. Don't try to read it as a quick read or anything. Just read it, think about it, and then he just has a wealth of information. As a matter of fact, I was on a call with him about a month ago. He had given I'm one of his I guess people who learned with him, and so occasionally we have calls, and it was really good. He's getting up in the years now. He's one of the original people that have did self-improvement with let's see, who are we talking about here? Some of the people that you guys know, I guess. Well, anyway, whatever. All the old guys that are gone now, Zig Ziglar, all those guys. He's one of those original guys, is what I was going to try to say. So anyway, and what I want to do is I want to go through the beginning of what he calls his first self-talk tenet, and it's called "From the Moment You Were Born." And what I mean by that, guys, is that when the moment you were born, all of us, no matter who we are, we're programmed, from birth to do certain things. Unlike animals, where they have instincts that they're born with, we actually are programmed from things that are happening in our environment very, very quickly. And we don't have as many natural instincts as animals do. The human species is really, really environmentally subjugated to lots of programming that goes on in the very beginning. And so everything that you see, even though you don't know it from birth, everything you've heard, everything you've experienced starts rewiring in your brain, and it has been wired in your brain whether you want it to or not. And his research shows, it's quite old now. I guess we'll go to the next one. Yeah, okay, let me keep up myself. There we go. That his research shows that by the time somebody was 18 years old, and this probably is more like 300,000 now, that we all heard or hear 148,000 no's. No, don't do this, or I cannot do that, and I've heard my son and daughter-in-law tell our grandsons here no, all the time. And you have to protect your kids and your grandkids. I know that. We all are aware of that. But those no's can be very, very they are very powerful, and we don't really know what that's doing to us. We don't really perceive what that's doing to us. But you're told what you cannot do more than 148,000 times, and that's technically before you're 18 years old. Can you imagine at our age how many times we've heard that? So it's, I don't know, maybe 1 million or so. I don't know. It's a lot. So you can see that from that 77%, and I really think this number is higher, 70, almost, I would say closer to 90% of our programming is negative. And what's happened today in today's society is that because of our brains were created, and I talk about this in sleep, our brains were created, they're the same as they were 10,000 years ago. We have an amygdala, and we have a hippocampus, and these different parts of the brain. And particularly the amygdala is showing through research that it's growing in our time. It's actually getting bigger. And the reason is that the science shows that we don't need the amygdala to be responsive to save our life as much as we used to. Back in the caveman days, we used to have to fend for food and fight and survive in order to make everything work to be able to live. Well, we don't have to do that anymore. We're not worried about literally where our next meal comes from. We're not really fighting for the saber-toothed tiger for food. We're not doing those kind of things anymore, but we're overly have hypersensitivity to these things because of the TV, because of the way our society is. And our amygdala is actually growing. It's actually getting bigger, and it's creating a constant or a very, very intense fight or flight mode in our brain today, in our bodies. And then you see that in our culture with increase of high blood pressure, and you see that in our culture with increase of irritable bowel. You see all the things that CBD helps, and there's reasons for that. We won't get into that tonight, all that science, but there's a real science behind that. So our programs have been basically work against us. They're counterproductive, and they're very, very difficult for us to manage that. So why is that? Why can that change? How can that change? Well, it can change. Research also shows that the brain is constantly changing. Now, when I was a young boy in school, one of the things we learned in science, and Jenny did this too, and just about everybody did, that when we were turned 18, our brains were sort of done, and they weren't going to grow, and they weren't going to change anymore, and we were done. And that science is now wrong. It's false, as many past scientific articles prove out. It's really things that we used to believe aren't true. Even our solar system, Pluto is not really a planet anymore. We used to think it was. Now it's not. So the brain is changing constantly, and it's called neuroplasticity. It means that the brain can change and always can change. And that's why in neuroplasticity that people who learn, there's research to show people who learn an extra language, it's really good for them. People that learn this business, it's a good thing. It's a good thing to be challenged. It's a good thing that your brain, and even though we don't like it, it's still, your brain is always changing, and the brain always continues to rewire itself throughout your entire life. And these are called programs. And these are messages that you receive that are frequently wired into your brain. And once these are wired in, these programs, these messages become programs. And some of those things is what when you talk to yourself, example program would be like when something happens to you and you say, well, I've sort of worried about that, really an off the cuff statement, or you said something to yourself like, well, I thought that was going to happen. Like maybe you tripped or something simple. These are all programs that you have programmed yourself into happening, and you don't even know they're going to happen, but they're there. And it's very, very hard. It's hard for me. It's hard for Jenny. It's hard for all of us that these programs are real, and you have to work on them constantly, or they'll work against you, and you don't even know these programs are working against you. So the programs that you receive from the world around you, and then from your own self-talk. First of all, we see programs as a child, and we're picked up and coddled, and you're taken care of, and really soft tones. When you talk to a little child, you talk softly and speak very, very gently to children. But then as we get older, those tones get very, very difficult, and they get very, very stern. And that's just part of the way we are as people. And those programs become very, 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 very powerful to us. We don't, and you receive them from your mom and your dad and your grandma and all your family, and your family lovingly is concerned for you, but they were passed on the same information, the same source. Your grandmother passed it on to your parents, and your parents passed it on to you. Everybody passed it on some way or another. And let me tell you a story about my grandmother. I had two opposite grandmothers. I had the Todd grandmother was a taskmaster. She was tough, and she raised my dad that way. My dad was a World War II Marine, combat Marine in the Pacific and all that. And there's a reason he was that tough, because she was tough. But on my mother's side, my grandmother was very, very soft and very, very gentle and very, very lovingly. And there were two different people. And I through my life, I've seen that in my mother, and then I've seen that in my father. And it's interesting that they were programmed the same way from their parents. So it's your source. Your source is what it is, but you can change it. So everyone talks to themselves all the time, whether you do it orally like we're doing now, or you do it with just mental thoughts. Most of your self-talk is unconscious. It doesn't, you don't know you're saying it to yourself. You have what some people call racing mind. You don't even know it's taking place. So most of your thoughts are very, very unconscious, as many people are aware. And that self-talk, it goes on 24/7, even when and part of what I do in sleep is help people with that racing mind to be able to do some to be a sleep doctor, I guess you could say, is working with the unconscious and subconscious mind is a big deal. So everyone talks to themselves all the time, but the powerful thing is, how can you change it? So your self-talk each day, both your conscious and unconscious mind, is a replay of the programs that have been wired in your brain, the strongest programs you have. And the strongest programs are the ones that generally are negative. And there's a reason for that. That's survival. Those reasons that we have strong negative programs is, like I said in the beginning, is so we didn't fall off the cliff, or we don't have the saber-tooth tiger eat us. But those strongest programs have continued in our culture to get stronger and stronger and stronger. So as we, as people, try to reach out and do something out of our comfort zone or out of our normal routine, or something that's difficult, we have a tendency to pull back into that and to retreat into that area. And it's not something that we actually consciously do. So the part of the brain that stores all the messages that you receive doesn't know the difference between something that's true and something that's false. So if you're constantly, your brain just acts on the programs that that you have, and they don't really care whether the strongest ones or not, or they're true or false. You just act on them. And so it's a constant battle for your brain to be able to act on what is correct information, because it only acts on information that it's given. And it doesn't really matter if it's true or false. It just matters that it's in your brain. And so that's why positive programs are so important to work on. And that's what this first part of this is the self-talk for success program that I'm talking about. So we're living on autopilot, guys. We don't know, we live, our thoughts and our actions are just really unconscious. Let me give you an example of that. As I'm going out the door, a lot of times I'll put I'll put my gloves down somewhere and do it at the same time over and over and over. And if it's moved out of the position someplace, I'll immediately go, well, where'd those gloves go? And so you get very, very conditioned into doing the same things over and over and over, and you become on autopilot. Everybody knows that, because we can drive cars that are that without really thinking about it a whole lot. We can ride a bicycle after a while without any thought processes. Those are autopilot, and that's how we live a lot of times, until we want to change something and we don't want to go where the autopilot's taking us. And then that's when the hard other self-talk tenets that we'll pick up next time, we'll be speaking on those a little bit, on how not to live on autopilot. So with that being said, I'll let another thing here is that the 3 things you'll do in self-talk is you'll monitor. And what I want you to think about doing between now and whenever I come back to do this, we'll monitor everything you think or everything you say, everything you do, monitor it.
My bad.
Think about it and monitor it. And the next thing is edit it. Humans are the only species that can edit what they think. We edit it. You can actually stop in sentence what you're going to say. You can either say, you can edit anything you think, unlike a goose, let's say, that flies north and south. It can't go east and west. It can't make it it can't do it any other way. So it has no brain ability, neuroplastic ability to edit its thought processes or the way it's going. But we can do that. We can edit it. It takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot to want to change it, to want to edit it. Now, edit it doesn't mean that it'll stay that way. You have to have the brain change through a constant source of repetition. And that's where Dr. Hempstead has created a program called Self-Talk Plus, and that you put it on your phone, you listen to it, and you listen to that about 3 to 4 times a day, indefinitely. Don't put any time limits on it because it's real. And by listening to Self-Talk Plus, part of the program that Dr. Hempstead has created, you'll be able to change the way you think. Now, it'll take a while. Believe me, it takes probably good 90 days of listening to this. You listen to it 3 times a day and this kind of thing. But that's really not what we're trying to do tonight. We're just trying to give you an idea of way to change your thinking. And you can. This is the only way that I've ever found that gives you a systematic method to change your thought processes for whatever they are. So we'll finish on that note tonight to monitor, edit, and listen to Self-Talk Plus. So with that, we'll turn it back over to Hal and Lisa.
Okay, Lisa, what do I have to do to get it back to you?
Just sit tight, girlfriend.
Okay. Okay.
Got it.
I gotcha.
Done.
That was so good, Steve and Jenny, Todd. And I love that you can change your thought processes in a systematic way. I think just that's the very best news to me. Once you're finally aware that where you are is you're a self-made person, right? No matter what's happened, that we can actually change the way that we're programmed. Wasn't that awesome?
Thank you, guys.
Powerful.
Thank you
And Steve, we will definitely want to book that next conversation, because this is a wonderful thing for all of us. So thank you guys for being available to our team. And I'm going to, let's see, Hal, I want to have you talk. So we're going to transition now from just self-improvement and elevation of our own personal growth to really kind of specifically talking about the Zalise business. And I am on a all-time high and a sugar high, thanks to Judy Baker.
Oh my. And the birthday cake
And
too,
the
because I
birthday
saw you
cake.
eating both
I know
Judy's bread and some birthday cake you had left.
that Christina packed up for me. And so we're not going to talk about who's responsible for my
Lisa's
sugar high,
wired.
but I'm going to have Hal review before we talk about what happened in Evansville. Hal, tell us about our enrollers and our top volume.
All right, well, let's recognize those who are on the leaderboard with Zalise, enrolling new wholesale to business builders. And so we do have a few. Matter of fact, you know, here in the United States, you know, we're often, this wonderful team here is often on the leaderboard. So let's talk about number 12 on the leaderboard out of top 25, Wendy Berman in California. Wendy is finding herself on that leaderboard pretty often.
Wendy Berman.
Congratulations.
Quite proud.
And then the Todds are on the leaderboard on enrollments.
Look
Number
at that.
7. Did y'all know that? Did you know that? You didn't know? Well, now you do. You're
Now
on
you
number
know it.
7. And we're halfway through the month. And so, you know, keep it going, everybody. And then Hal and Lisa are on there at number 6. Give me 5.
Give me 5. That's
All
awesome.
right. So that's the enrollers for the month up to this point. Now on volume, which means your order, whatever you have ordered from Zalise from your personal account, your individual personal account, is what they consider personal volume. And so that's for the month. So at number 24, Adonai Cherie, which is actually Pat and John Poole
Nice job.
out of, I guess, Van Buren, Cedar Hill, Arkansas. Anyway, Pat's on the call tonight at number 24. Kimberly Meyer out of New Hampshire. Is that right? New Hampshire?
Stevie Judy Hotspur.
That's right, at number 16. And then a name that's often on this leaderboard is Lisa Hall out of California, or parts unknown. And then Judy Baker, otherwise known at Judith Baker at number 6.
Woohoo,
Out
Judy.
in Illinois. That's
She's
right.
like, no.
Yeah. Congratulations, Judy, and all of the rest of you who are on the leaderboard this week so far. End the month strong, guys.
And I just wanted to really kind of recap an amazing trip that I had back to Evansville. And many of you guys know, you hear about Evansville, Indiana, but that's really where I was in November of 2017 when I started building with Celise. And so we have several really, really strong teams there. I was there for a year before I left for Arkansas, and you guys know kind of the rest is history with that, and Hal Henson. But we built very, very strongly for a year there, and therefore there's just a great cluster of product users, people who've been introduced to the products in both Indiana and then across the river in Kentucky. And so it's a very unique market. And honestly, as one of the leaders in Celise, I don't know of another market quite like it.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have somebody who is willing to organize a live event, and just a big shout out to Christina Durham. She's not only willing to organize them, she does the flyer. This is not just where she reserves the room. No, she has the whole agenda plan. We do bingo. She has prizes. We had cake. She did an amazing job with a new form of the hemp project. We're calling it the ECS project. And Christina, I don't know what you have Tuesday night, but I might ask you to help present this on the corporate call together, just because I think we got good feedback on the new style of presentation, but Christina really took the lead on that. And so there were a lot of people that it took to make this happen. I mean, I could name names, but Susan Everett had a whole table of 5 there. That was huge. I know Debbie Gentry, you and Jenny were there. We had Lorena and her team had driven over from St. Louis. We had Ronnie Nunn there from Henderson. Karen Hale was there. She's one of the originals with our organization. And so when you have that collection of people that all have tremendous belief, have amazing stories, it just really takes on a life of its own. And we were able, in front of that whole group, to recognize Christina Durham as the latest 2023 winner of the Noble Award for her leadership, her work, hard work, her networking, and all that she's done for our team. And so, Christina, I just wanted to just have you say a word or two. How have you done it, girl? You are working 24/7, and we thank you from the bottom of our hearts. The stronger the people on this team, the more people that we can actually elevate together. So Christina, it's yours. Just tell us a few minutes, a few seconds, 30 seconds. I know we didn't plan this. How have you done what you've done?
Persistence, and I really got a vision of what was going on before the pandemic. And I really think that's the way God intended me to run the business, because it's really given me a footing into the way I want to drive business now. And that's what this team really does a good job at, is coming together and working together. And we just want to continue to do that here in this area. That's my focus, that's what I want to do, and be a servant leader, if you will, for the Evansville area.
Well, you have done that, and we just really appreciate your leadership. And I know I was talking to Suzanne on the phone today when I was driving home, and we were talking about Suzanne and Wendy and her team. They're in San Francisco. And then I think, is that Wendy Lee tonight? Wendy Lee is Wendy. I want to pause and just introduce you, because you, I didn't notice that you were on the call initially, but Wendy is our.
Hey, Lisa.
Wendy, tell us where you live and what do you do for work?
Well, I am a pharmacist. I worked for hormone consulting pharmacies for 20 years, and now I am starting my own practice. So,
and you are in South Carolina, correct?
South Carolina.
So
yep, Columbia, South Carolina.
So we love, and I told Wendy, I said, Wendy, please don't say no to me, but we have a lot of work for you to do, because
oh yes,
we love partnering with professionals, and pharmacists know so much about just compounds and interactions. And I'm like, we need you to become our expert, Wendy. So and she's just starting her new practice. We're just really thrilled to have her on board. And Wendy, you'll come back and educate us, right, about all these
Yes,
things.
absolutely. Absolutely.
So the cool thing about just Wendy being in San Francisco, she's not limited to San Francisco, just like people in Evansville and Henderson aren't limited to that geography. But it's beautiful if you can actually find your own backyard, as well as maybe one or two other regions that you can actually, people, to kind of help start what we did in Evansville that has just kept the fires burning. And it's just, obviously it takes a lot of work and leadership, but I would think that, Lorena even is in St. Louis, and she and her team can 3 hours away can sometimes come over and light those fires as well. It's just really served as a great base for the leaders that live in that area. And that's why I would love to bring everybody in to see just what it's like to be able just to hang out and have a Holes Elise night. I was so energized, not just by Sugar, but just by the love and support of our team there. I just appreciate every single one of you guys. And so did you want to add anything to that?
No, congratulations to all of you. And we're going to hear more about this in the weeks ahead. I did want to make just a clarifying statement, just so that Tuesday night, Lisa has signed up with corporate to do the national presentation call. And we've been doing these, and matter of fact, the Todds do it. Christina started doing it since she hit area, and we've been doing it for several years now. And that presentation has changed from time to time, coming down through corporate to us. However, Lisa, Christina, and a few other people have really tried to think about what's the best way to present now in a fresh way, but not just to create a fresh presentation, but to deliver a presentation that impacts really where we are and what we're trying to communicate. And so the focus on the presentation, I'm telling you about this to encourage you to possibly tune in on Tuesday night to the national presentation, because Lisa's going to present in the way that they did in Evansville on Thursday night.
Yeah.
And she's done some trial runs with it, one-on-one with people presenting this way. And it's a focus on everyone's endocannabinoid system. And, I took a little spin off of that this week. I was at a home show thing where I was looking at different things about homes and building and that sort of thing on Friday, while Lisa was in Indiana, and I stopped at this place. Anyway, I had a guy ask me what I do. I said, well, my wife and I have several businesses. He goes, oh yeah, like what? What's your focus? And I said, well, what we primarily focus on is educating people on the endocannabinoid system in the body. Are you familiar with it? So I literally led with that statement. And that turned into a conversation from him, which, anyway, so that's what Lisa's going to present on Tuesday night, using the national call as kind of the launching pad. It's not an official corporate presentation, but that's okay. We've been given the opportunity to lead, and so we're going to lead with what we think will be helpful to everyone. So anyway, that's kind of only the point of clarification.
Yeah, and several of you guys were involved in kind of masterminding this. That's what I love about this team. Christina and I have talked about it. I'm sure I've talked to Susan Everett. I've talked to the people who can tolerate talking to me every week. Some of you guys are on the hot seat when we have those weekly calls. Debbie Gentry, y'all know who you are. And those people who have, goals and are really wanting to achieve a rank. That doesn't happen by accident. That's an intentional thing. Christina is one of those. So thanks to all of you guys for being willing to mastermind.
It's really nothing. It's not new. It's just a new emphasis, a new focus, a new message platform.
Right.
So
absolutely. And so with that, anybody want to make a comment, or because we're going to shift after this segment to a part of our call where we're kind of talking about personal things, and we're not going to record it. So does anybody have any comments or questions of anything we've talked about, self-talk or Zelise? Okay. Then what I would like to do is I'm going to stop the recording here.